And hello, and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. This one, I promise to be less violent than last week's. And if you're not familiar, you should probably go back and check that out, because, yeah, I did some crazy stuff to be able to get into a knife with an impact driver, so, yes. So, this one is the TS277. This is a NightMorning design here. It's a flipper. And of course, this is a budget model here. We got G10, little orange rings around. Well, they're going to call that gray because almost everybody does, but it's quite bluish as far as that goes. That's perfectly fine. We got steel liners there, and hey, not Chicago screws, but a couple of barrel spacers here on the back, which is a little bit different, but yeah, it works out great. This is 14C28N steel, and this was basically a satin finish, and then of course we have blacking on the flats here. That does affect the action just a little bit, as most of them do, especially if you're using something like a PVD coating or something like that. Cerakote's a little bit different, but what are you gonna do? It's a lot more expensive, and well, it's a lot more expensive, so there you go. So yeah, I have accidentally scratched the ever-living shit out of the blade here on both sides, but that's why I ended up doing the stone washing on it, and it works out all right. It definitely hides those scratches, so that works out. Yeah, this has their folded steel pocket clip, so it doesn't have their old one, which, you know, that's definitely good. But it is kind of put in such a way where it does hit me in that pinky area just a little bit. And that only really comes into effect if I'm adding a lot of pressure back here. Whereas, I mean, otherwise, if you're just kind of applying those pressure with those first 3 fingers or something like that, generally not a problem. It's only if you are really trying to muscle through something that it ends up bothering me. So it's a little bit better than some others in that particular realm. But hey, it is what it is. Yeah, let's see. What do we have for some measurements here? I got a 3.5-inch blade, basically 89 millimeters. So as near as makes no difference. It's 3.5 inches. No need to go into any more pedantics than that as far as that ends up going. These G10 scales are contoured, which is nice. And, well, this is a little bit different than their standard black and white layered G10 that they've done for a lot of other budget models. So a little bit less milling going on there, but it also is contoured, so that's nice. It's not just flat slab stuff that you end up seeing on a lot of less expensive manufactured models. A lot of stuff from Kubi's budget line and stuff like that, for sure. But, you know, also things like, hey, paramilitary too. And because of that, yeah, pretty comfortable in the hands, since it has that nice swell from the contouring. But that does make this thing a little bit thicker. This is 0.6 of an inch, or 15.3 millimeters going on here. So, a little thicker than something like you might get on, say, this PM2 here, which is 0.51, if I remember right. It might be 0.50, but right around there. We'll go ahead and move that out of the way here. And the blade stock thickness on this, it's actually fairly darn thick up top. It's 3.9 millimeters. I don't necessarily think it needed to be that, but it is what it is, I suppose. It does come down to a decent edge there, like I was taking a look at last week with the TS277. I think it was the 237. Yeah. This one does, it can have that problem of binding up just a little bit if you are cutting through many layers of cardboard or leather or anything else that might really, really bind up a blade there. This one has a finger choil on it, but it's a NightMorning finger choil, which means it is not large enough for me, so it is not going to be happening. As you can see with the plunge grind here, very, very gradual, and yeah, Of course, I did need to sharpen this after I did the stonewashing, but yeah, even so, I already got a smile showing up on this guy. So there's definitely that to keep into consideration there. At least this one doesn't have a snaggletooth, really. Anything that's super dangerous for your fingers back there. You might be able to sneak your pinky in there, but you're gonna have to try. It's not something that's just gonna reach out and bite you when you're pulling it out of the pocket or picking it up off the counter or wherever else you might have dropped your blade. We got some pretty nice jimping going on here. I wouldn't have minded it being just a little tiny bit more aggressive, but definitely does the job, especially with the that front flipper there having a little bit of guard for it. And yeah, I did mention the PVD coating here on the blade, kind of playing with the action a little bit. It's still decently a wiggle shut sort of situation, but it could feel just a little bit better if that coating wasn't there. But hey, it's an aesthetic thing. I kind of understand it. And this was, I think, one of the first that they tried doing that had those two-tone kind of things going on there. Let's see. So, how about if I do some size comparisons? I did allude to the Spyderco PM2 a little bit earlier, so I can pull that out. And then this guy is fairly large, so I'll go ahead and kind of match that up here with the Spyderco Endura. And yeah, it's fairly similar as far as that goes, but yeah, these are definitely thinner beasts. Let's see, for Benchmade. There we go. We got the 940 and the 535. Bug out. I don't know why I wanted to call it the blackout, but yeah, much larger than the bug out here. And sure, since this is also a larger blade, there we are against the Ontario Rat number 1, where the handle's just a little bit larger, but the blade's about the same there. Yeah, pretty interesting. I do like the looks of it. The G10 on it does have a nice contrast with the bluey gray sort of thing going on there. We do have a little bit of a hidden lanyard pin in the back there next to both of these barrel spacers in the back. And of course, it's nice and wide open. You don't really have much in the way of a back spacer there, so that helps out the weight a little bit. It's still not a lightweight. It's 4.46 ounces or 126 grams. So you will definitely know you are carrying this knife. It's not one where you're going to lose it and possibly grip your pocket in a panic. Something that has happened to me once or twice here with the bug out. It just doesn't weigh a damn thing at all. So yeah, this thing is designed for a little bit more harder use than that bug out is. And you can definitely tell that with, of course, the thicker scales and definitely the thicker blade stock on here. As far as doing some cutting, though, it'll definitely cut with them. There we go. Yeah, you definitely want to cut across the grain if you're displaying a little bit of some cutting prowess here, because well, cutting up and down on it is pretty darn easy to do anyway. I find it a little bit more challenging to go through the individual ridges. Yeah, works out pretty darn well for doing a lot of EDC tasks, and probably some more challenging stuff. Like, I probably wouldn't mind trying to do some sheetrock work with something like this guy here. That being said, I would probably still prefer to do that with a fixed blade, especially... Nah, well, either way, I digress and completely lost my train of thought. So yeah, it might be fun to do some sheetrock stuff with that. I don't know. I don't really have any laying around here that I can try and put a knife through or anything, but sounds fun. Yeah, I did cover this is a NightMorning design. It seems to be fairly similar to some of his other models. This one kind of reminds me quite a bit of the TS279, I think. let's see. I could probably try and find that and pull it out. Hey, that was the one I was thinking of. Ka-chunk. This one's a little bit more of a really, really high harpoon sort of thing. This one I also did a stonewash on. I think I did it basically around the same time. But as far as the blade here, I guess this one has a little bit more of a upswept, or a more acutely upswept tip. But as far as the blade cutting and overall geometry and stuff like that, reminds me quite a bit of this guy here. It's not bad, and it was definitely cheap. A lot of their budget models. I think the prices have probably gone up a little bit. So if I remember right, I paid somewhere around $41 for this guy, which hey, that's a pretty damn good steal. Yeah, good pun there. Because 14C, 28N, all that good stuff, whatever. But yeah, it's pretty good for a budget blade. I don't actually use this one probably nearly as much as the other ones. It just kind of stays in the collection. It's interesting, and I don't dislike it. It just really hasn't found any pocket time. So I don't know. Do with that information what you will. And yes, this of course has holes all the way through. You can't see on the backside because it's covered up by the clip, but those holes are there on both sides. So I suppose that helps a little bit with weight relieving, but not really, as I did mention this thing is fairly weighty. But alright, there's basically the stuff that I wanted to cover here on the TS277 budget model from NightMorning Design. And yeah, for those of y'all who came by for the standard review, well, there we are. I appreciate y'all for stopping by. For the rest of us, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look on the inside. Because, of course, we are. We can see we do have black hardware going on here, which is quite a bit different than what you see on most of their models, including all of their titanium. Something that is just a little bit annoying here is, well, this back barrel spacer here. You do actually have to remove that pocket clip to be able to extract that screw. So that's a little annoying, but hey, at least it's all T8 hardware, so that's a little annoying, but not the end of any worlds. So there's both of those barrel spacers, and there's the pocket clip or pivot screw there. And yeah, and we can see we just have a little bit of inlaid G10 there. And we do have blacking on the liners on the inside. That's something that I didn't think to cover a little bit earlier. And then this one's going to be just kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt to get this guy out of, since the, yeah. I will do this again, but I will do this one on camera. Let's see if I can't find my watch bar tool, which, yeah, essentially I'm gonna use a hammer on this thing here. But I am looking for my little pokey watch bar tool that I end up using if I do need to do something like that. And I seem to have lost it. Couldn't have gone far, but I don't know where it is. But, well, I got this guy here. Does that work? Yeah, it fits in there. That's good enough for me. Just need a little bit of a tap down there on a cushioned surface to be able to flex that. And, well, there we go. The whole thing just fell apart. Including the barrels. There they are. Okay. So, yep, we got just a standard stop pin over there. And interestingly enough, with those barrel spacers, we still do use Chicago screws. I actually prefer that rather than having a single piece that you screw in on both sides. To me, that just Makes things a little bit more comfortable for overall construction when you're pulling it apart for doing any kind of maintenance here. And then, yeah, we do have a little bit of black on the inside of both of these. That's basically come from the blacking on the pivot material there. So that's all that basically is. Yeah, we do have a what's the word for it? Detent ramp there. So, hooray! Overall, though, yeah, very simple construction. And we can see that we have a decent amount of skeletonization going on here. They got a little creative with it, but hey, it works, and it cuts down on that weight a little bit. Not an absolute enormous amount, but every little bit helps. So, all right, and we do have a bit of a D-shaped pivot going on here, but not fully D-shaped. We just have that little bit of a notch there. Which, unless there's a very specific circumstance, that doesn't really make a difference one way or the other. There we are. Slap that in there. Put that guy on top. But the second one, hey, I actually remembered to do that. I actually haven't forgot to put those things back in the correct location when I'm putting the knife back together for a little bit. But it was something that I would, and probably will in the future, forget to do from time to time. So that's always fun when you get to yell at your screen that the dumbass doesn't know what he's doing. I should probably actually put... There we go. Yeah, there's exactly the thing I was talking about. I was so proud that I didn't do that, that other thing ended up coming back to bite me in the ass. That's how things work. Karma when I actually feel cocky. There's that standard wrist cam that you've probably familiar with. I don't think you like it, but hey, you might. I don't know. If that's your thing, you know, you do you, I suppose. And yeah, we have the flat screws that go on the Chicago screws. And the little roundy guys go in the pocket clip, because that's what they seem to always use. So, all right. Come here, you little bastard. Go to your home. All right, and this looks a little off-center, to say the least. Yeah. Much better. All right, cool. Yeah, we're all back together. All nice and tight. So, alrighty, there we go. There was my disassembly of it and everything. Yep. I don't really have anything else to say. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Slabba-dabba-scrib-scrab.